Belle Powell, The Secret of Life. The Secret of Life, Belle Powell.
Fellow Toastmasters, I have figured it out. I know the secret of life. I'm going to share with you the personal experience that led to this wisdom. I'm going to let you in on this secret, as well as share some examples on how we can apply it in our own lives. My story begins before I was even born. 3 months pregnant with me, my mother, Rebecca Peterson, was diagnosed with breast cancer. By the time I was born, her cancer had progressed. She would get better, and then she'd get worse. 3 years she fought for her life, until the doctors gave her less than a year to live. When my mother became bedridden, my grandmother Joan turned her den into a hospital room for my mother to die. And every Saturday and every Sunday, my father would take my older sister, my 2 older brothers, and I to go visit our mom. It was spring. My mother's calla lilies had exploded in the front yard, and it was Saturday. When we arrived at Grandma Joan's house, I sprang out the car, and I ran in through the kitchen and down the hall to my mother's room. But when I got there, the hospital bed was gone. The den was just a den. The morning light filtered in through the evergreen outside the window, and it washed over the tan carpets, bouncing off the mirrors and my grandmother's crystal candlesticks. I stood in the hollow room, watching the rainbows dance on the walls, confused. My father followed in behind me, fighting the swell of grief that was consuming him. And he sat down and he explained death and his idea of heaven to his 3-year-old little girl, me. Fellow Toastmasters, this is not a sob story. You see, coming to terms with my own mortality at such a young age has given me a very unique perspective on life and death. It's taught me the secret of life. What is the secret of life? Now, I'm not talking about how this happened. The secret to life is happiness. You see, just as courage is not the absence of fear, happiness, it's not the absence of sorrow, but it's a choice. My own happiness comes from a very deep understanding that nothing lasts forever. In moments of joy and abundance, be present. Give yourselves that gift. And in moments of hardship and anger, know that those moments cannot last forever. They're subject to life and death, just as all energy in the universe is. And if you find yourself overwhelmed by bills, by the kids, by life in general, just remember, take comfort. We're all going to die. It's easy to get consumed in the day-to-day dramas and the first world problems that the reality of the big picture seems to just elude our emotional spectrums. Ever find yourself in a technological rage? My computer knows I sure have. It's a first world problem. We have the power to choose what we think about and how we think about it. Our thoughts direct our emotional journey. René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy, once said, "I think, and therefore I am." When we find ourselves thinking, "I'll be happy when I have that income. I'll be happy when I'm driving that convertible. I'll be happy when I lose these love handles. I'll be happy when I achieve my DTM." Where so many of us get it wrong is that we think that happiness is having or achieving what we want. But what that really does is it puts distance between us and our happiness. That our happiness is reliant on some sort of circumstance. We think, and therefore we are. Our thoughts direct our emotional journeys. With a show of laughter, how many of you have found yourself driving on the freeway, going behind someone going way too slow, and think to yourself, "What an idiot"? By taking control of our own thoughts, we take control of our own happiness. We take control of our own lives. We can't always control circumstance. My mother passed, and I grew up without her, a motherless child. And now that I'm embarking on my own motherhood, I don't find myself dwelling on her absence. I find myself grateful. I'm grateful for the family I get to share this with. And I'm grateful for all my friends. And I'm grateful for the loss that taught me this gratitude, the secret of life.